Perdumo, if you'd like to begin.
Lovely, thank you. Hello, Enes, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I just wanted to ask you, ahead of this game, you've just had a lot of internationals happening, a lot of players coming back as of yesterday, some even today. Has that posed a bit of a challenge?
Yeah, of course. Some players have not yet come back. It's 1 day longer FIFA period. So usually you play your last game on the Tuesday. Now they extended it to the Wednesday. But so it gives 1 day less in preparation. And we have had many players in different continents than Europe. So then FIFA rules allow them to have 24 hours longer time to be back at the clubs. So of course it's a challenge, but it's the same for both clubs.
Absolutely. And with that now, obviously what's happening now, you've got the preparation ahead of this Chelsea and Arsenal game. Reflecting on the last game that you had against them, have you learnt lessons from that taken into a game, or is it just completely different?
No, of course. I think they also learn. It's it's the beauty of the game. You play against each other and you evolve. And then both teams have played different games after that and also evolved. So it's never going to be exactly the same games, but it's elements in it that we will have a lot of good use to if we can use against them on Sunday.
Okay, and I want to ask you about Bethany's recovery so far. How's that coming along? I know she anticipates that she'll be here at the start of next season.
No, she's doing fine. The reports I'm getting from our medical team is that it's progressing like we hope it would be.
And are there any other injuries or anything we should be aware in terms of team news?
I mean, we had Sabrina D'Angelo that had to come off the game against Canada, and that's an injury we need to further investigate. We have Lina that couldn't play for Sweden, also an injury we have to investigate a little bit. So those two are 2 question marks, but apart from that, no.
Yeah, and lastly for me, you've got back-to-back fixtures with Chelsea with this FA Cup round and also the League Cup final, the first final of this season. How important is it to win both matches over the next couple of weeks?
Of course, I think both teams would very much like to do that. The way you can influence in winning those matches is to be focused on one match at a time and to perform as good as possible, and that starts on Sunday. So that's the one we need to have in our mind.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll come to the call now. Tim.
Yeah, hi Jonas. I wanted to ask a question about, I know this has dominated the last few weeks about Beth Mead and Vivianne Miedema not being available. It strikes me that Frida playing in Viv's position, kind of, obviously you miss Viv, but that kind of sorts that position out, and we've seen Frida play there in pretty much every game. But I wondered in your mind whether it's the right-hand side, where there's still some experimentation going on, where you've played different players, and in your mind, are you looking for someone to make that position their own, or are you more resolved that it will probably continue to rotate?
It's a good question. I think we have players that are capable of playing on the right hand side. It's more to see how we get the best out of the team, and I mean, you've seen almost all of the games with Arsenal under my management, and for me the connection between the fullback and the wide forward is very important. So for me it's about getting that cooperation, and I think it changes a lot when we don't have Beth, because Beth was such a dominant 1v1 player, so a lot of times it was better to leave her alone so she would have more space in order to use that. But now with the players we have, it's not as extreme 1v1 players, so it's going to be more combination players, and then we need to think more about the positioning and the personnel behind, and to see what relationships will be the best. Yeah, we keep on working to try and find the best possible formula.
And just a second one from me. I went back and watched the Man City game, and you talked about...
Which one of them?
The last one, unfortunately.
It's rough. I thought I was the only one that did that. Why did you do that to yourself, Tim?
I've got a job to do, just like you.
That's what I did as well. That's what I told myself. I was like, I have to go through and see this.
But one of the things, I mean, it's a fairly obvious point to be honest, but Arsenal lost the ball a lot in their own third, and I know sometimes it's easy to just say that player was missing and therefore that's the solution, but not having Leah Volti, it did jump out at me a little bit, and you talked post-match about the sixes not being able to drop quickly enough to receive the ball. You've got Leah back. I don't know whether you'll answer this, but I'm really curious as to whether would you have played with a back three in either of those City games had Leah Volti been available? Was that partially because of her absence as well?
It's a good question. It's a little bit too revealing for me to answer, but I think it's a really good question, and I think for me, football is never only like a chessboard. So there is not the formation itself. It's pointless if you don't have the right players for it. So it's about the combination to see what makes sense from a positional perspective, but then even more importantly, now from a relational perspective between the players that you have, so they can perform their roles and responsibility the best possible way. So what can be the best formation can change depending on what players you have available. Definitely.
Speak to you Sunday.
Take care.
Thanks, Tim. Emma from the BBC.
Hi, Jonas. You mentioned about the Man City game, obviously a difficult game for you, and it's been a difficult start to 2023 in the league. In that respect, how useful is the FA Cup as a chance to find some form and play without that sort of points pressure that comes with being in the title race? Is it useful from that perspective?
I don't view the games differently. Like for me, it's a very important competition, and we want to do everything we can to win. So it doesn't change with pressure there. I still have those high standards on us. And with regards to the league, I just think that for me, I look different on performance and results. So I know we haven't won in the league in 2023, but the two performances that we did against Chelsea at home and West Ham away, they're two good performances. I felt that when it happened. I felt it after when I review it. I see it on the stats as well. Then the City game in the league, it's a poor performance and it's a poor result from us. It of course it has its reasons why it is that. We are not performing to the levels that we can. Like I said, I take responsibility for that, but we also have to say that the playing schedule that we went in to play late Sunday night against West Ham, playing midweek and then playing Saturday at lunchtime, I think it's a really, really tough playing schedule, and I can't see any other women's club team in England being asked to play on a playing schedule like that for the whole season. And I know people say that or probably will say that I complain about it, but I had the same point when we played Tottenham away last season, and say that when the playing schedule gets that congested, that is going to be a disadvantage for the team that is forced to play those games, and that can't be Arsenal all the time that gets into those situations. Over seasons, that has to be divided onto more clubs than not only Arsenal being played in schedules like that.
Thanks, Jonas, and good luck at the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. Dan.
Hey, Jonas, hope you're well. I just wanted to ask, obviously, you mentioned the great performance against Chelsea in January. Obviously, it ended a draw in the end, but yeah, what were the kind of learnings that you took from that game?
I'm not thinking because I don't have the learnings. I'm thinking about what to share with the learnings. But I think it's, as I said that before the game, I think it's much more about in these games to try and create as many situations as possible that is favorable for your team. It's so easy when you play good teams like Chelsea to focus on what they are doing well and their strengths and trying to nullify them, that in those moments or in those situations. But the best way is to make sure that those situations never happen at all. And of course, that's what they try to avoid that for happen. But that was so clear to me when I was seeing that game the last time, that whenever the team, both we and them, had good moments where we were successful with forcing the other team into the situations that they don't like, and that was a real clear sign of success in that game. And I think that is true in general for all football matches, but also in the specific between Arsenal and Chelsea.
You mentioned about watching the City game back there. Obviously, in the international break, you know, on the back of a defeat, probably gives you quite a little bit of time on your hands, I suppose. So how do you kind of divide that up, you know, in between kind of dissecting what happened at City and kind of putting your focus on the game ahead?
Yeah, I think it's of course it's difficult because you can allow yourself to go very deep into the game, but try to avoid that. I watch it like any other game back. I draw my conclusions from it, but then reflect on the block as a whole. And now the difficulty is, of course, when you see the players back, is to say that what should we focus on now, to make sure that you focus on what's in front of you. But of course, the things that we need to learn from a game like City, we need to speak about that as well, so we can take that with us in the future. So try to keep that balance in a healthy way.